How are we, folks? Welcome back to the Nightmare Cabin and welcome to another episode of Rushcast. I'm joined by my co-host, Mr. Paul Conroy, drummer extraordinaire for Pub Rock Extraordinaires Audio Scope. And how are we, Paul?
Yeah, I'm good. I've had a good week so far. Joe, how have you been? You've obviously spoken to me off air, but you've had a fairly busy one, haven't you?
I'm having a very, very tough, challenging week. I'm currently doing an LGV course and wondering what the hell I signed up for. But here we go. Right. So this is Rushcast. This is a show where we are working our way through the entire Rush back catalogue. We're reviewing an album a week, and that will really include side projects and solo albums along the way, as and when we come to them. And this week we are doing Signals, the new wave era of the band we have now entered. We've got little inklings of it along the way, but we are fully fledged now. Let's have a, I suppose, we can. What was your initial impression when the album came out?
I think for me,
what was, because rock fans can be particularly.
Yeah, this is one that polarised the Rush fans, basically.
It did polarise, yeah.
Yeah, it definitely polarised the Rush fans. You had the camp that were willing to go along on this ride because they just liked what the band were doing and ready to go on this new adventure. Whereas you had the more prog rock Rush fans who were really dead set against this, and also with this one, the keyboards take centre stage really, and sort of are in the place of where Alec Lifeson usually is, because Alec Lifeson on this album he's not being pushed to the side, but he's having to find a different area in which to play, and then you're getting that almost not a battle, but the push and pull between keyboards and guitar orientated lead and melody and stuff like that. As you said, this is the beginning of the electronic sound of them, although in this one it's more of there's a lot more experimentation in this one, because you've got the reggae, you've got the ska, and you've got the almost and a bit of the synth pop, I guess. I mean, this was them sort of it was a fairly contemporary sound for them. It was cleaner. The guitars were not so heavy on this, so it was a totally different emphasis to what has gone before. Rush could have easily, on the success of Moving Pictures, they could have done a Moving Pictures 2, because it would have guaranteed a load of record sales again, but Rush being Rush, they were not happy with that. They wanted to continue progressing and experimenting with various musical styles. And as you said last time, they were heavily influenced by the Police, but also Talking Heads, and then looking at art rock stuff, Band UK that were around at that point as well. So they were pulling in all these various influences that they were listening to, and then working it into their material. So yeah, it did polarize the fans a little bit. I think as an album, number 9, I think, their best-selling albums. I think it sold just over 1 million copies.
Yeah, I don't see many negative comments about it today, so I think the naysayers have come round, and I think
it's with the course of time, it's now regarded as a lot better than what people thought it was at the time.
I think as well I think if they had stayed in this lane, maybe things would have. But where they just changed, they carried on changing. It's just sort of seen as that era of the band.
Yeah, it was.
But I don't think these songs can be argued with. I mean, I might turn off some listeners here, but I think a very good parallel album with this, two albums that match, is actually this and Genesis's Invisible Touch. And
controversial.
Audience off there,
but a deep inhale.
But it does. It reminds me, and I think if for better for worse, Rush are regarded as a prog band. You know, they more of a hard rocking, harder hitting prog band, but they're a prog band.
Yeah.
Sorry, they, you know. And if you take, you know, Genesis, King Crimson, yes, they all had that part in the 80s where they did experiment with electronic and with pop music. And
well, yeah, they did. Yeah.
And
definitely,
you know, you can go, oh, you like, oh, Invisible Touch, that album's crap, la la la, Peter Gabriel, la la la. Well, the argument stands for that. And
yeah, it does.
You know, if you take The Lamb Lies on Broadway and Invisible Touch, completely different band. As much as Invisible Touch gets crap for being pop and blah, 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 Peter Gabriel released So that same year. That was just as pop as Invisible Touch. No one ever says anything about Saint Peter Gabriel, though, do they?
No,
you know, he gets all the credit for the prog years with Genesis, and after he left, but he went just as commercial, but that's a different subject. But
yeah, it is.
Yeah, I would I would recommend this album if you are a Genesis fan and you are a fan of that album. I think these match, complement each other quite nicely. But I really enjoy this album for what it is, and I think it's a natural progression. I think you get this with Iron Maiden's catalogue as well, with certain albums where they'll get an element of the sounds. So there's all different elements, all different ingredients into the sound. But then on one album, they will just go, right, we are concentrating on that. We're taking that as far as we can take it. And a controversial, it's considered a masterpiece by many now. But again, massive backlash when it came out was Seventh Son of a Seventh Son, because it had keyboards on it. Somewhere in time before that as well, but they never went full keyboard. It was just, it was just like a frosting on the cake. It was a finishing touch. I never saw what the problem was. I mean, but then again, I'm a bit of a purist, so I probably would have been one of the naysayers if it had come out at the time. But again, where I'm listening to it in reflection, I really enjoy that album. But again, I really enjoy the Blaze Bayley albums. That's one of my controversial music take. And that first album with Blaze, they hammer the progressive sort of longer epic songs that they had, because around that time, it would always they'd close a song with an epic song, or they'd have the centerpiece song in the middle of the album. Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner being a particular one, or, you know, because that started with Hallowed Be Thy Name. But yeah, they just went for that on that album. And it probably wasn't the best thing to do whilst introducing a new singer. I think Blaze gets a lot that wasn't his fault laid at his feet. But but I think in hindsight as well, I think time has been very kind to those albums, and I think time's been kind to Blaze Bayley, and you're starting to see it now in the media and in you know, YouTubers and comments on Facebook, etc. People are starting to, you know, people are coming around going, yeah, he wasn't given a fair crack at the whip, and his solo career since leaving Maiden has more than spoke for itself. But I was going to my Rush album by album that I'm using as the guide. I was going to read a little go for it from this, because I thought it was quite good. I just can't remember where to. No, it can't be that. Right, so you've got a guy here. Let me just get his full name, because his surname's a bit of a mouthful. Where is it? I had it. Ray Warzenik. I'm going to say that. I can't quite pronounce that as WAWRZYNIAK. Write that down, ladies and gents, and say it out loud.
Or was and then or something.
Have a couple of beers and then say it 5 times. Right, so he's contributed to Rush Beyond the Lighted Stage documentary, another one of Martin Popoff's books, Rush the Illustrated History. He has a basement dominating Rush collections, surmised by an absurd 90-plus page document. So he's a massive Rush fan. So he's the guy that's answering the question here. Martin Popoff asks, I'm intrigued about this theory you have. It's not so much Signals itself, but the tour for Signals that really catapulted the band into the 80s. So which he answers, yes, it was a humongous turning point for them. Here's Moving Pictures, a record that 35 years later, everybody still holds as high regard, as well they should. Moving Pictures was a flawless record. They had reached this new state of popularity. So much would have been easy for them to go into recording Signals to just do Moving Pictures Part 2. But just like Fleetwood Mac did when they said, look, we're not going to do Rumours Part 2. And they went in and did a crazy follow-up record called Tusk, which polarized a lot of people. The same way Rush did with Signals. It was a polarizing record because they were pushing the boundaries in so many ways. And yes, what I really think took it into the next level, if I may, is the supporting tour. This is where I want to have a rant. May I? Yes, you may. Okay. Well, on the New World Tour, they played officially 7 of the 8 songs on this record, except for Losing It. The set list on the Signals tour was so different, where for so many tours before that, from 2112 up until including Moving Pictures, they were playing large banks of 2112, large banks of Hemispheres, large banks of Cygnus X1 from Farewell to Kings. The Signals tour, they completely revamped their set list in such a way that it was, to me, a real dividing point of them saying, look, this new record is just put out, is adamantly a brand new and different Rush record. We want to continue that thematically with a brand new show. I mean, right from the beginning, they came out on stage to the opening strains of the Three Stooges theme. That they ended up using multiple times on subsequent tours. And even that little comedic element was different. Their presentation of 2112 on the Signals tour included a bastardized version of the lyrics, where the priests of the temples of Syrinx became the chorus the second time around, we are the plumbers who will fix your sinks. Which I think was them saying, I know we still got to play this song, but good God, we've moved on. Is the pivotal point. It was only 6 years between 2112 and Signals. And somehow they couldn't play with the same conviction. And so here they are in the previous tour, Moving Pictures, opening with 2112, playing large part of side 1 to open the show. Now 2112 is towards the end, still in the regular set proper, but just overture and Temples of Syrinx with comedic lyrics. There was no sign of no Walking Man, nothing from Fly By Night. Caress of Still's long hiatus was now beginning. I mean, nothing from the opening side 1 suite of Hemispheres. No Cygnus from Farewell to Kings. Here are 7 songs from Signals. You've still got 4 or 5 songs from Moving Pictures, and there are 2 or 3 songs from Permanent Waves. It was a newly laden material set list and so different from what they had done. Yeah, I really have a strong conviction that it was the tour being a real turning point for them at the point of the career, where you're right, usually we focus on the record. Yeah,
I wouldn't disagree with that, as being one who saw them on that tour as well.
Where was that?
Wembley Arena. It was Wembley Arena again. There you go. There's the program. And again, it just a slightly different presentation of the material. It was a bit more factual, I suppose, because Neil Peart always did like a little write up each time for each program, but this time it was sort of more sound bites of text talking about each song. So it was a more concise way of putting things forward. But it's interesting what the guy said. Yes, I remember that. I think when I see them play, and it was, I think they did 4 nights at Wembley Arena on this tour. I'd have to look it up again. It wasn't as big. It wasn't as big a tour as Moving Pictures. But they still did 4 nights over here, but they were still doing a massive amphitheaters in America. And yeah, I mean, like you've quoted stuff here, it said on here, it's in the book I'm using, which is Rush Song by Song, says here, Signals fully explores many of the ideas that were hinted at on Moving Pictures' final track, Vital Signs. The album's instrumentation is largely driven by Lee's synthesizers, while the music itself is closer to being contemporary pop than any preceding Rush album. Clear influences from art rock bands such as UK, Talking Heads, and most clearly The Police colour this album with a smattering of reggae and ska infusions.
Which the Police had anyway.
Yes, they did. And it says here, licensed guitar takes on a far more textural role on Signals, with its normal position in the mix now often occupied by Lee's keyboards. Each song, with the exception of Losing It, was designed with the intention of live performance. Hence, they played 7 of the 8 songs. And last, with Lee's increasing use of keyboards, even on the album, his bass is notably absent for long periods of the time. And it was the same, because what he would end up using is playing keyboards and using Taurus bass pedals to pad out the sound at the bottom end. And that also caused contention, because the fans of Lee's bass playing said, well, he's not playing any bass, he's just playing keys with the bass pedals.
And Geddy Lee's not exactly a standard bass player, is he? He is up there with John Entwistle and the greats.
Yeah, absolutely. So
yeah, it'd be like going to see Jimi Hendrix and he's playing the saxophone.
That's it. So basically, because of that, the musician fans of Rush sort of really took a very dim view of this album, but it has stood the test of time, and it
certainly
it certainly is now come to be regarded as one that's the arrangements of these songs are very clever.
Yes.
And it changes the emphasis from the keyboards to the guitar. But of course, Alec Lifeson, he's not just playing out and out heavy guitar on this. He's using and experimenting with a lot of various sounds and types of sound on the guitar, which takes it into a slightly different area.
Yeah.
But mind you, as we will discuss, there's still a couple of cracking guitar solos on this album.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, there's some beautiful guitar on this.
Yeah, there is some cracking ones on here. But yeah, and it says Signals was the first album of Rush's controversial keyboard era, and
notably the last album. So it's also the end of an era.
Yeah.
Before we forget, this is the last album Terry Brown produced for the band.
Indeed, and unfortunately, I think there was some differences of opinion with regards to this album between Brown and the rest of the guys, which sort of in part they came to that decision that they'll carry on without him. I think there were some difficulties, but we'll come to that with certain. I know there was a couple of songs that Brown was not overly impressed with, but the guys were absolutely enthusiastic about doing it this way. So yeah, I think I'm just trying to think if there was any. Again, I'm just looking at the various comments here. No, I don't think so. No, I think that's it as a preamble.
Okay, let's get into the songs. So, opening track, Subdivisions. What do we say? Well, what do we think about?
Well, I'm interested. What was your comments about this track?
When you lent me that compilation album all those years ago, this is one of the standout ones to me. This really, that track listing was, very good. And I was just getting all the different eras of Rush. But yeah, this was one of the ones that was yeah, I'm onto something here. And I like electronic synthesizer based music anyway. When I'm not listening to rock and metal, I am actually a keen Depeche Mode, Kraftwerk fan, Ultravox. There's a really good artist at the moment. He's a solo artist called Perturbator. And he puts on a show. He's got multiple keyboards, and I think he has like a visual show behind him. And he'll have different singers on different songs, you know. But yeah, he's really good at the moment. He's really doing well. He's got like this 80s thing going on. And you've got this
what nationality is he?
I think he's American. I know his dad is quite a famous punk musician, or he's in a post-punk band.
Okay.
He's got like Japanese sort of anime on the covers of his albums. He's done a fantastic album called The Uncanny Valley. But yeah, like John Carpenter, I really love like 80s films as well. I like 80s film soundtrack. I mean, you've got this Stranger Things show that's doing really well now, and it's got that John Carpenter, because John Carpenter used to do all his own scores. In fact, John Carpenter is more or less a full-time musician now, because he's found a new lease of popularity just playing concerts of the themes to all his films. And he's even released a couple of albums now. I think one's like, I think the first album was sort of stuff he had that he hadn't used before, and then the second album was all brand new material. But yeah, I really enjoy that as well. So I love keyboard based music anyway, and this was a nice, you know, this really took me back, because I was into this, listening to this proggy rock band, and all of a sudden this comes on, and this is something like I would have been listening to just by another band. I think the keyboards are gorgeous. I think the drum pattern is amazing. I don't know if is he using an electronic kit yet on this? Certainly incorporated some parts of it, but even still, the drum pattern is fantastic.
I think we've all
gorgeous guitar solo at the end, which is a cracking climax of the song. But that, as great as all that is, the real thing that's hit me was the lyrics to this song. I think it's absolutely brilliant. There's certain songs where that's really struck a chord with me lyrically, and I've always, I'm not particularly blowing my own trumpet thinking I'm a particularly unique person or something like that, but I always, from my school days, I was always, I don't feel like I fit in here. And one song that struck me when I was leaving school was John Lennon's Working Class Hero. Because again, I'm not academic in any way. I never got on well at school. And there was a line, they hurt you at home and hit you at school. They hate you if you're clever, and they despise a fool. Until you're so effing crazy you can't follow their rules, you know. And then when I heard this song, that just
it does,
you know. And
I think that's the reason why this song is so popular.
Growing up, and I'm not that particularly thing, because songs like that struck a chord with millions of people all over the world. That's absolutely why they're so popular. But
it is.
But yeah, you know, growing up, it all seems so one-sided. Opinions are provided. What a line. Opinions are provided.
That's it.
The future pre-decided. It's, I mean,
and you've only got to think
again, how many times have we said it in this series? Neil, well, he didn't predict anything. Nothing's changed.
No.
If anything, it's become more, you know.
The lyrics on this one are superb. He just absolutely got this down.
Yeah, in the mass production zone.
Yeah, it's detached.
And that was a line that again reminded me. Nowhere is the dreamer or the misfit so alone.
That's
fantastic. In the shopping malls, in the I'm just going to read the whole lyrics to you now at this point.
Well, you can do.
But yeah, no, it's what a set of lyrics, and it's not clever or contrived, or arty-farty or pretentious in any way. It's just,
yeah, and that is, I've always aligned myself to those lyrics because, like many people, you sometimes feel that you're really outside the mainstream, especially like in school or wherever you end up to find yourself. It's, you know, you're not with the cool kids, you know, it's, you're called a misfit, or you're, as you say, no, where's the dreamer? Yeah, I was a bit of a dreamer, still am really, and certainly a misfit. Yes, I certainly was regarded as a misfit as well. So yeah, and that's why it spoke so much to a lot of people, and subsequently people who got into Rush. And this is regarded as a classic Rush number. And what a way to open the album. Again, it sounds incredibly simple, but time signature changes. I mean, it opens up in a 7/8 with the keyboard, then to that pounding nice open release of a 4/4. You got 3/4 in it as well, but again, it's all stitched together beautifully, and it just flows. And you say certainly from the regimented 7/8s, like you're saying about Peart's drumming. Yeah, I mean, the 7/8s are extremely tight, and then it just opens up, and that's that tension and release, as they call it, and it just you feel it. You just feel the power of the song in the way it's played. Yeah, absolutely superb. I'm just trying to look what they were saying about this. It says, with the band produces an evenly paced and relentless industrial beat on this, bringing to mind the uninspiring uniformity of the suburbs the lyrics describe. Peart's occasional blast of furious drumming. Again, there's a lot of air drumming on this one. When it's played live, you can see people getting into this one, against the steady stride of Leon Lifeson. Gives a sense of the desperation to escape from the uninspiring sterility that these environments seem to impose on so many adolescents. I thought,
you will own nothing and you will be happy.
Be happy. Yeah. Yes, indeed. You know, it just, but it's a wonderful song, and as you said, with the, and again the famous line, "Be cool or be cast out." You know, yeah, was it subdivisions? Yeah, I'm going to quote lyrics now. Subdivisions in the high school halls, in the shopping malls, conform or be cast out. In the basement bars, in the back of cars, be cool or be cast out. Any escape might help to smooth the unattractive truth, but the suburbs have no charms to soothe the restless dreams of youth. Just fantastic, absolutely fantastic. And yeah, this song,
it's funny because like me and my wife at the moment, we're talking about moving out further afield. I'm sick to death of London, and at this point in my life could quite happily never lay eyes on it again.
Yeah.
And then I was saying, if we moved to where we want to move to, I was sort of looking at, I went, it's funny because if we raise the boys here, we've come here to get away from the city. They're going to run straight to it. They're going to hate this as much as we're craving it. You know, it's
yeah. You're not alone in that. I mean, I've got to be honest. I would like to move further afield as well.
But you think, well, yeah, it's going to be a nicer area, but are the kids just going to get bored?
Well, again, lyrics again. Drawn like moths, we drift into the city. The timeless old attraction, cruising for the action, is exactly what it is. Lit up like a firefly just to feel the living night. So, I'm going to end up quoting all of this.
Yeah.
Some will sell their dreams for small desires, or lose the race to rats and get caught in ticking traps and start to dream of somewhere to relax their restless flight. Yeah, but I think what you've just painted there with regards to your children, I think
we've come a long way from it's 7:45.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I feel I'm in the mood.
Yeah, it's well, no, actually, it's quarter to 8, and I'm not in the mood.
Yeah. And I don't want to move.
Yeah, I'm not in the mood at all. I'm just trying to see. Oh yeah, on this one, the electronic subdivisions is Neil Peart. That's his voice.
Yes, I knew that. Yeah.
I'm not saying you didn't. I just
No, I know. I forgot to. Yeah, no, I'm glad you mentioned it because that was something I would have forgot to say. Yeah, the only vocal he's recorded. No,
well, he
last,
did the last
he
one.
did some spoken word, didn't he? On the
So
this is
the
the
spoken word on the Necromancer.
Yeah,
many albums ago. That's what was I going to say? Blah, blah, blah. Moving pictures. So I'm just quickly looking through if there was anything. Yeah, it says here subdivisions happen to be an anthem for a lot of people who grew up under those circumstances. And from fantastic. Despite its initial frosty reception by some fans, the single of Subdivision performed well and it reached number 8 in the USA.
I dare say they got a lot of new fans. I think a lot of people wanted
Yeah,
to
they did. Yeah.
And then went to moving pictures and
And interestingly, with this, the song also marks a turning point for Peart's lyric writing, which would affect his writing for the rest of his career. This particular song, as it became an anthem, as I've just mentioned, for a lot of people, and Peart said when he realised that, he then wanted to put into song was human experience and human experiences rather than the sci-fi fantasy and all this sort of stuff that he had gone through. But I would still add that if he hadn't gone through that, perhaps his lyrics would not have been as clever as or to add that cleverness to put complex things in a very simple way. So yeah, massive. It was a big crowd favorite, and it would appear on many live tours from here on. Not on every one, but on a lot.
Now I've got another slightly controversial take.
Oh, go on in.
And if I haven't already lost half the audience with the Genesis comparison, I think I'm going to lose the rest of them now. I don't think this is a very good album opener, and I'm always been complexed that they decided to open a concert with it.
Oh yeah, they did.
I think this is a fantastic song. I just don't think it's an opener. I think it would be a great closer. I think it'd be a great mid-album song and a fantastic song at that. But there's just something with opening with this. I'm not sure, and I know I'm wrong. I know I'm wrong because who am I to argue with Rush? I doubt very much Geddy Lee and Alex Lifeson are going to stumble across this and they're going to go, "Shit,
he's right. He's right.
He's right. We're going to have to."
What were we thinking?
Yeah. Can you believe we've sat on this for 30 years? No, there's some, and none of that. When you're sequencing an album, some songs, when a band comes out of a new album and there'd be like a left field song, and they went, well, what made you open the album with that? And they went, putting them in different order, and it was just like, well, where else would it go? It wouldn't fit anywhere else.
Well, that's an interesting question. Which one would you have liked to seen open?
I think I would open the album with Chemistry, and I would also open the live show with either that or Analog Kid. Although I do think Analog Kid has a mid-paced sort of second, third song chorus, but I do like the opening. But yeah, I think I'd open it with Chemistry.
But again, it's interesting that you say that, but Chemistry is not right in your face. I know they're all in together, but it's quite.
They've never really needed.
No.
All guns blazing with their openers, give or take. But normally, sorry, Iron Maiden tends to come out all guns blazing, is what I say. They come out hitting the ground running, or there'll be a slower thing, and then bang, we're in, and then it kicks in.
Yeah, I can see where you're coming from. Yeah.
But I think Analog Kid kind of opens. That would be a nice hitting the ground running opening. But I like the big chords chemistry opens with that.
Yeah.
Bam, 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 bam. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think that's got more of a grand opening,
Mm.
while Subdivisions just it builds layer upon layer, and
Mm.
yeah, I don't know what it is. I just
That's fair enough. I mean,
yeah,
that's a fair comment. Personally, I quite like it with Subdivisions because it just feels a little bit different. I think it might be more to do with the keyboard sound because it's not so in your face. You're sort of feeling it more than it really hitting you. I think and because that intro is in 7/8, it's just got that slight, almost awkward feeling to it. But it's, I don't know. I don't have a problem with it being where it is, but I can see what you're saying. Um, but I don't know whether I would have opened it with Chemistry, though. I don't know which one, to be honest with you. Strange. Well, we'll get to it. Possibly Digital Man might have been a good one. Just big drum intro and boom, you're in, sort of thing.
yeah.
But there you go. Differences of opinion. There we go. Dear oh dear, but yeah, being controversial, dear, I was reaching to switch myself off then.
Yeah, that was it. The show's over.
That's it. Boom. Oh dear.
Right, let's move on. The
Yeah.
Analog Kid.
Oh right. Well, again, I mean, it's in with this one. Again, I'm just looking at the various
And
comments.
again, I mean, I suppose a Rush fan, say like a hardcore Rush fan, that's picked that up on day one, not heard any of it. Oh, that looks a bit different. I didn't even realise it was Rush then from reading that. Okay, like yeah. Right, so automatically we know it's different. Opening again, Subdivisions. Oh wow! I mean,
Mm.
Geddy's vocals and yeah, maybe the signature little
Oh
twerks
yeah.
of Neil Peart. You all right? No, it's still Rush, but this is Analog Kid. That's familiarity. That opening riff, that
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think it would have been right. That's
Yeah.
still Rush.
Normal service resumed.
Yeah,
It's just
maybe
yeah.
opening with that, it could have been more familiar territory. Now you've got this. Maybe, but
Yeah.
no, Rush
Yeah.
treat their audience like adults. They can go, no, you can handle that.
Yeah.
But gorgeous chorus, and again, opening like the way those soaring keyboards come in. It's fantastic.
It is. I do like this song.
Yeah,
And like you said with that riff, the only thing that's different about it, you imagine that if Alec Lyson used a really heavy sound on that, that would sound very similar to a lot of their earlier rocky
mm,
stuff. But because of the feel of the album, he's playing it in a slightly more, well, with a slightly more subdued sound on the guitar, but nonetheless, it's still extremely technical. Um, yeah, they say again. I'm just Farrah's comments. In many ways, a companion piece to Subdivisions. This song relates to many of the same themes, but this time it has a positive and exuberant outlook on life, which is also expressed through the music. Subdivisions described a longing to escape. Analog Kid is a song about the need to explore, an important distinction.
yeah. I did wonder if there was it's not really a concept album. It's just more of a running theme,
Mm,
isn't it?
mm, mm.
Analog Kid, Digital Man. It's
Yeah, well, again, you'll
New
find
World
they're sort of
Man.
they're
Yeah.
sort of all sort of connected in that way. I don't know whether it was a deliberate thing, but it's come across as that way.
I
Um,
wonder actually. I mean, I wonder if Dream Theater ever covered Analog Kid, because I think Dream Theater would have done a great version of
I,
Analog Kid.
I have no idea.
They've done plenty of Rush covers, so
Well,
yeah.
they have. They've
But,
also done some Yes stuff as well
mm.
in the past. I
Well,
remember them
they've
doing.
done entire albums. You can
Yeah.
buy
Mm,
Metallica, Master of Puppets. You can buy. I think they did Number of the Beast by Iron Maiden.
mm-hmm.
Couple where they've done it in their sound checks. They've done like a different song.
Yeah.
And they've all just been recorded live on the soundboard, and yeah, they've been released as bootlegs that then covering entire albums.
Well, that's fair
Yeah.
enough. I mean, I don't know if they've done an entire Yes album. I know that I've seen them, and Steve Howe from Yes actually played that with them. Was Machine Messiah, and it sounded pretty good. Obviously, Dream Theater are a great bunch of musicians, and they do cite Rush as being one of their influences, and and you can sort of hear that in the way they play anyway. But I didn't know if I don't know if they've ever done anything off of this album. Not sure. Certainly and I'm slightly backtracking here, subdivisions from a drumming point of view, as you said, it's quite busy, and it's not the easiest one to play, especially at the end where Peart is really just, I think as he said it himself, to try and make it exciting, he just put a little more light, a little more flame under the candle, just to try and really push it at the end there after the solo, with that final chorus. Anyway, I digress. This song, obviously the lyrics on this one is sung from the point of view of a boy on the cusp of becoming a man, and describes at great pace thoughts running through his mind, and again skillful lyric in using very few words to describe a rich scene of an idyllic childhood memory. So yeah, again, just it says wonderful. So it's quite a rapid pace, and the bridge section of the song includes those beautiful lines, which is like before the solo. Too many hands on my time, too many feelings, too many things on my mind. When I leave, I don't know what I'm hoping to find, and when I leave, I don't know what I'm leaving behind. Again, brilliant. Love the solo on this one. It really, I mean, he really goes for it on this one. And
yeah, I mean, for the lack of guitar on this album, the guitar you do get, it makes up for
oh yeah,
it
does.
It counts, doesn't it?
Yeah, they say probably the most thrilling moment on the album is this guitar solo, and arguably, they say again, it's one of his greatest ones ever recorded. But we're going to be coming a lot. We've already sort of discussed a few of Alex's solos as being his best. So it just goes to show.
It's always assume.
Yeah.
Awesome solo.
Yeah. I mean, it is pretty frenetic. It's a pretty frenetic solo, and it says here, perfectly encapsulates the song's lyric. They say here, similar in some respects to the avant-garde solo he performs on Natural Science, this is maybe a solo that only Lyson could ever perform, full of fast and lengthy runs, but also quite jazzy and a bit lyrical. Yeah, I wouldn't disagree with that. It's
he does have a knack to sort of convey the emotion of the song in his solo.
I think so, and I think it perfectly. I remember when they played this. I mean, I remember them playing it on Signal's tour, but when they played it on the last tour that I saw them on, which is the Clockwork Angels, they played this, and his solo was absolutely fantastic, and to the point where when he finished the solo, there was a huge cheer. You could hear it above the music almost like we are not worthy sort of thing. It was just it was quite a highlight of the show. I mean apart from the Clockwork Angel stuff, obviously.
The solo on Levere Stratiago, especially when it builds up that do 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 do. If that could be put into words, you'd have it on your gravestone, wouldn't you?
Yeah, you would. Yeah.
Whatever that's saying.
But he is. I think with out of the three of them, Lyson plays in a more inspirational way, whereas Geddy and Neil were very much more workmanlike. Not in putting that down, but I'm saying they were very methodical in how they piece things together, particularly Lee in songwriting and composition and that. And Lyson will just come in and just play something absolutely inspirational, and they'll say, "Wow, what was that?" And he'll say, "I don't know, I just played it." You know,
Yeah.
sort of say he's one of those sort of guitarists, but there's obviously method in how he plays, of course. But yeah, again, a terrific solo, as we just said, and it really fits the song extremely well. Yeah, I don't think there was any sort of other lyrics that we needed to. No, I mean, just that chorus, like you're saying, it's just beautifully open, and you move me with your buildings and your eyes, autumn woods and winter skies, open sea and city lights, busy streets and dizzy heights, you call me. I mean, again, when you read them, they just sound so simple, but it conveys an awful lot, especially with that music, those lovely keyboard sounds, as you said. It just sounds really good.
It's like the world described in subdivisions on Analog Kid. It just zooms in on one. Yeah,
it does.
Right, I think let's move on then to Chemistry, the true album opener, which is
that's fair enough. Well,
no, I like this song. I like the way it opens. I think it's quite theatrical, and I think we're going to be repeating this quite a way through it. But again, I really like the keyboards on the chorus. That it just, as much as there's a presence on this album, I do think it's actually quite seamless how they have intertwined them into the songs.
Yeah, definitely. But it is a good song. I think I've a couple of comments on this. This song is the last Rush song that would feature a lyrical contribution from Lee or Lifeson. This piece is unique.
They contribute on the
This piece is unique in that the lyric was in fact a collaboration by all three members of the band. Consequently, the lyric itself has a style all of its own. Peart's intelligence and concise metaphor, coupled with a vibrant and eminently singable choice of language, makes this a pleasing lyric. It says here, less precise than many of Peart's individual efforts. It's easily accessible. I think it began. Lee and Lyson had certain lines and certain phrases that I would like to put in, and then I think they gave it all to Neil, and he pieced it all together and worked it into this finished product. Again, this one, the music shows huge influence from the Police with its ska groove and highly syncopated drums, particularly on those choruses. Eye to eye, reaction burning hotter. It says here, it breaks also new ground for Rush with its coupling of synthesizer and guitar to create harmonies. And it says here, a great influence on Alec Lyson was the guitarist Alan Holdsworth. And this is also apparent on this track, most notably on the fast and complicated repeating patterns, but also on the playful and improvisational guitar solo. Again, nice little solo on this one.
Yeah, who is Alan Holdsworth?
Alan Holdsworth was initially in Bruford, so he's more sort of a jazzy orientation. Okay. I don't know an awful lot about him, but I think he also was the guitarist. I think he was. I might have to look it up. Might be he appeared on UK as well. The band UK, I think. I'm sure there are people out there who know he's in complete discography. I don't, I'm afraid. All I know, remember it from, but Alan Holdsworth. So he pulled on that sort of influence. Have you got anything else on this in your book about this song?
No, it's just a nice, effortless song really to listen to. It's
it is, yeah. The only comment I've got on here is says remarking on the mysterious scientific truth behind matters of the heart invites a discussion of the scientific and physical background of what appear to be abstract things, music, emotion, and human interaction. And it says it appropriate that this brilliantly succinct song about mysterious connections shows the skill of the three of them, not just as skillful individual musicians, but they undoubtedly are and were, but as collaborators keen to serve the song above all else. This song, and again, this is from the program, this song was basically written when they were sound checking and jamming. It basically got gradually pieced together, and because they had a habit of recording stuff on their sound checks from off the mixing desk, and unbeknown to them, all the parts of this song were at different points of this sound checking jam, and then Lee and Lyson pieced it all together. So that's how that song came about. It was through sound checking, and as I think Piet called it, their research and development department, which was which I think is quite clever, quite cleverly put, really. So yeah, it was a nice song. They only ever played this, I believe, and again, people can correct me if I'm wrong. I'd have to go through all the set lists. They never played it on any other tour, and it got dropped as well. It got dropped, I think, not. It got dropped on part of this tour as well, from comments.
I think if Rush did carry on, I wonder how long they would do, if they would do more album playthrough sets like they did Moving Pictures, didn't they? And where they do 2 full sets as well. The second set playing an album in full. I wonder how much, if they were still going today, say, how much of the catalogue they would have worked their way through. We'll never know, will we?
Well, sadly, we'll never know. But it's an interesting question. Again, just jumping forward a bit. When I saw them on the Clockwork Angels tour, I played a fair bit of. Played quite a few songs off of Power Windows on that tour. But
they more or less did Clockwork Angels in full, apart from one song, which was weird. It's the whole album apart from the second. Although they did play it on the previous tour.
Yeah, they alternated it. They alternated and would rest a song and then bring another one in, and then it just rotates certain parts of the set a little bit.
At some point, the whole album has been played. Hasn't it?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. And I don't think there's anything. I've got nothing more on this one. I've got nothing on this one at all. You got any more comments on that one?
No, let's move on to Digital Man. I hope you are a fan of The Police, ladies and gentlemen, because this is pretty much a Police song.
It is.
It could be directly. I mean, good luck trying to write and pull off a Police song. You know, it's Police with one of those bands again that don't sound like anyone else, and no one else sounds like them. So, well, apart from Rush, but
I
good
don't
luck
know
to them for being able to pull it off.
It'd be interesting to see if Geddy Lee could do Roxanne.
I'd be impressed to see Sting Digital Man, actually.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It'd be.
But no, it's got those big airy bang calls that Andy Summers can do. You know, I think Walking on the Moon. It's got a bang. You know, it's again, very Police-esque, but
it is with this one, isn't it? Again, they say in many ways this is a companion piece to Analog Kid. Yes. Digital Man further considers the subjects of the album's first 2 tracks, while the Analog Kid describes a free and unrestrained character. Digital Man describes a rigid and regimented man who compartmentalizes and manages his life in a computational fashion. Cool. Some big words there. Rushing through life without rest despite his date with fate in a black sedan. In the same ways that Subdivisions describes the dreams of youth being abandoned in favour of the rat race, Digital Man is perhaps a development of this idea. A warning to any analogue kids that might be giving consideration to abandoning their dreams in favour of a regimented and sterile life that it sometimes feels like society demands of us. It's quite a bit to put in. I think this song was actually considered to be one of the central songs of the album, and it was this one that caused the friction between Terry Brown and the rest of the guys.
Oh, right.
Yeah, that's the comments that I've got on here. This song probably more than any of the others. Yes. Right, where does it say that? As I've said that, yeah, here we go. The band, in their quest to continue to progress their sound, mixed numerous varying styles into this song with its incorporation of reggae, ska, synth, pop, and rock. The band had achieved a new milestone in their songwriting and were very pleased with this song. Producer Terry Brown, however, was not. This led to friction within the studio, and it has been said that this disagreement over this song, one that is central to the album, was partially responsible for the decision to produce the next album without him. So this seemed to be some sort of pivot point.
It got intense, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how intense it got. Yeah, it's a shame, really, but I guess, all good things come to an end. Loved the bass playing on this song. Some quite adventurous bass on this.
Yeah, it's all sort of looped in as well, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And Peart's drumming on this. I mean, he's drumming on all his stuff's good anyway, but he's molded his drumming around the song, unusual stylistic choices to give it that different voicings just to support what was going on musically around him. Again, like you're saying about licensed jangly guitar, nice chords that he was using on this. Quite a bluesy sort of solo on this one. Again, a little hidden gem, I think, of his solo on this one. I quite like it. I quite like the solo on this. I certainly again enjoyed this one, but I mean, as a drummer, love the drum intro on this. The way it just starts on the snare and then just rolls right around the kit to bring it in. And again, just that riff. I mean, it's quite catchy. Quite a catchy riff to it, and it moves along quite nicely. The drumming really pushes it along quite a fair pace. And again, you just got them. You get them sequence keyboard bits. It just such a difference in them styles there. It's quite. Does it say? You'd love to spend. That's the other bit, of course. The old ska bits.
Yeah. We did mention ska influence. Yeah.
It's a real mixture of the whole lot into this one. It's really, but it's all seamless. It just seems quite seamless when you listen to it.
They make it look easy, don't they?
Yes, they do, sickeningly so. Because like I said last time, I think when you hear some of this, you just think, oh, might as well just pack up and, I don't know, just do something else altogether. It just burn everything and just burn the sticks, burn the kit, just get rid of everything and just give up. Again, I'm just looking at the lyrics on this one. That was it. The synth bit again. It's sort of underneath it was some fairly sort of quite strong drumming, and it's all toms, all toms rather than big cymbals, and just accenting certain parts of the sequenced keyboard on that point. And then the lyrics was, he's got a force field and a flexible plan. He's got a date with fate in a black sedan. He plays fast forward for as long as he can, but he won't need a bed. He's a digital man. I don't know. Again, it's just a slightly different way of looking at things, but clever, compelling. I always remember poring over these lyrics when I first got the album and thinking, just trying to get into. I mean, was it? He'd love to spend the night in Zion, but he's been a long while in Babylon. He'd like a lover's wings to fly on to a tropic isle of Avalon.
Sometimes you just got to go with what rhymes.
Yeah, exactly. It just, but again, though, you can sort of read between the lines there, really, of what he's sort of getting at. You're sort of almost caught between a rock and a hard place, I suppose, if you could sort of look at that in that way. They say that this is and it is a complex pop song, Digital Man, and you don't even realize it is that complex until you start to sort of look at it and dissect it. No, I always liked it and I enjoyed it live. It was always good live, this one.
Yeah.
They played it a few times.
Okay, well, yeah, moving on. I mentioned earlier about I do have a love for synthesizer based music as well. And yeah, this next song is an absolute gem. I mean, this could easily be on a Depeche Mode album, especially one of the early albums. I love that the loop of it. Yeah, and this is pretty much a straightforward electronic song.
Yeah, it is. It is. Have you got anything on that in your book? Oh.
No, but it's my own fault, really. I mean, again, another gorgeous solo on it, and yeah, there is drums in it, but
yeah, but he's doing what's required for the.
It's very dominant on this.
But
no, good chorus as well on this one.
Yeah, it is. If you've got nothing on it, I mean, the thing we need to say, The Weapon is part 2 of Fear.
I was going to ask that actually. What song is in the Fear?
Yeah, this is the second part.
Trilogy,
yeah, this is the second part of the trilogy. Obviously, last week on Moving Pictures, it's Witch Hunt, which is part 3. This is now part 2.
They're doing it backwards.
Yeah, they're doing it backwards. This is part 2. I'm just looking at the comments here again. Says here, beginning life as one of Lee's synthesized sonic experiments, The Weapon is yet another stylistic departure for Rush, at times approaching the territory of electronic dance music. Hence, you were saying about Depeche Mode.
Yeah, it's got
it wouldn't be out of place because it starts off with the keyboard coming in. It starts off with the drums with a very odd. You've got the straight 4 on the bass drum, but you've got this sort of choppy hi-hat over the top of it. And then you hear that sort of, it's a keyboard sequence, isn't it? That it sort of comes up, and then you get that guitar pick coming in. Just to fade it in like that. And it says here, obviously, it's the second part of the Fear series. Describes the terror of the tyrannical. Initially bringing to mind the government of a superpower in the song's first line. Franklin D. Roosevelt's famous statement that has its meaning entirely changed by a question mark. We've got nothing to fear but fear itself. Describing the power of governments and ideologies exploit the fear of their followers. The Weapon is a song on a grand scale thematically and is also the longest song on the album. I thought it was. I don't know what it is like time-wise, but but yeah, it's the longest one.
Controlling your population with fear
Yeah,
as a means of control. Who'd have thought of that?
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, and it says here the first verse speaks of the tyranny of governments, while the second alludes to the danger of unquestioned religion. The former is described as an iron fist in a velvet glove, and the latter a steely blade in a silken sheath. Despite this brutal imagery and a song that's content in almost entirely is almost entirely on the subject of why these ideologies ought to be feared, an incisive final line reveals a universal truth about all tyrannies: the knowledge that they fear is a weapon to be used against them. There you go. And I remember Pearton, again, I'll just consult the program on this one. He said, to compose the drum line for this, he had to try and mimic a drum machine on this. So he said, but I do like a challenge. He said, but he must admit he would never have come up with this without trying to mimic a drum machine. And it's a Roland drum machine.
That made me think actually. Yeah, as I was saying, this is predominantly an electronic song, and
that's what he's done.
even his drums he took that approach to it as a
what he has,
make
because
it sound like a drum machine.
Yeah, like a drum machine, and like putting snare drum in the opposite place to where you think it should be, and all this sort of technicality. But he said here, but my bass drum foot had to play a steady 4, which is also something I never thought I could do. This also brings the feel of the song perilously close to a, in brackets, shudder, the dance song, disco, trees and kill the traitors. They wrote a song that you can dance to. And it says here, will you ever forgive us? In brackets, no. It's so yes, he was mimicking a rhythm.
That brings to mind a Devon Townsend liner note on Ocean Machine. I think it was his first solo album actually. All it's just like the back, the booklet, the final page, produced by, engineered by, credits.
Yeah.
All music and lyrics written by Devon Townsend. So nah.
Well, that's fair enough. This is all my own work. And the only other comment on this one, it says, while the song is notable for being one of the most electronic that Rush would ever produce, the sparse ambient instrumental section gives space for one of the most lyrical guitar solos that Lifeson would ever put on record. Again, I like the solo on this one. He sort of builds it gradually, and it's got a nice. Yeah, it's still quite emotive. He's still got that. It paints a picture, I guess. Is it? Okay, we're back to moving pictures again, aren't we? Yeah. Again, just trying to see if there was any bits of lyrics. Were there any bits of the lyrics that sort of stand out to you on this particular one?
No, I quite like this one. Just rolls. It doesn't. Yeah, this song doesn't rock, but it does roll, and I just enjoyed it. I wasn't taking a lot of the notice of the lyrics. I just enjoyed the vibe of this song.
Yeah,
well, it glides the album along nicely.
Well, it does. I mean, it is because it's electronic, derived from electronic music. You've got that flat 4/4 on the bass drum, which is just pushing the song forward, very linear. And then Peart is doing some sort of fairly sparse tom work, which just sort of lightly punctuates certain parts of the song. There's not a lot of. I don't think there's any bass on this. I think it's all bass pedals. I think it's all bass pedals,
Yeah.
and there's no bass on it at all, which gives a bit more space, I guess, for Alex with the clever guitar pick that he puts on it. It just, yeah, again, an experiment that I think they explore it a little bit more fully on the next album, but definitely, certainly a different Rush on this particular song. And again, I don't know if they, apart from playing it on this, no, I do. They did play this on a few other tours, but I don't think they played it on a lot of tours. I don't think they played it on a lot of tours. I think they played it the tour after because Rush did all three of the Fear together.
Oh, they did do them
Yeah,
together.
they did the whole
And
lot
did they do
live.
a fourth one further down the road?
Yeah,
It
but
was a
that's on Vapor Trails. That's way in the
Right.
distance.
But so for a long time, that was known as the trilogy.
The Trilogy of Fear.
Yeah.
And it was but yeah, because obviously on the next one is part one of Fear.
Which we'll get to.
Which we will get to,
Yeah.
obviously. Yeah.
You can tell us the name of it though.
I think it's The Enemy Within. I think is the song.
Yeah.
I think that's the song title.
Yeah. It is on Grace Under Pressure anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's The Enemy Within. I think that's what it's called. Yeah, it is The Enemy Within. Yeah. So, oh, I'm surprised I remembered that.
You have your moments, Paul.
Yeah, well, I had my moments, but not that many. You know, it's just that's it. Yeah, especially as I'm a couple of days away from turning 60. You know, I suppose I'm doing all right.
He doesn't look a day over 50, does he, ladies?
No, no. I always remember a work colleague of mine saying, "Oh, really? You don't look a day over 70." Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, work colleague.
Yeah, he's on this live album from Overkill.
Oh, wow.
There he goes. The thing. I feel like I'm 50 all over again. Here he goes. You're making me feel good. It's Overheisen in Germany, and they've changed it to Overheisen because it's overkill. He goes, you're making me feel great, Overheisen. Yes. I feel 50 all over again. Have you froze?
Yeah, I've frozen a bit. I keep getting something coming up. I don't know what's going on there.
Oh.
So I do apologise. There we go. I think it's gone now.
Are you all right?
Yeah, I can still hear you and see you.
Good. Right, okay. Into the we're winding down now in the last three tracks. New World Man. A gorgeous song. Again, as I said about Subdivisions earlier.
Oh, you've gone now. Your sound's gone down a bit, yeah. Oh,
you hear me now?
I can hear you now. I just sort of lost it again for a moment.
Oh, okay. Might be more of a connection problem than a...
Could be.
Yeah, that compilation album that you gave me, again, I think it was Subdivisions, and then it leads into this song. So I think it was like the singles, or whatever. But yeah. This is like, I'm on to something now with this band. You know, we've to go from Spirit of Radio to what was it? Free Will. Tom Sawyer, Red Parchetta, Subdivisions, and then this song. Like, what a continuation of songs! Like, yeah, this band are great. I'm gonna like this band. Again, fantastic introduction. I love the gorgeous clean guitar on this. Ding, 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 ding. And again, very Police influence, but this has got more of a Rush flavour to it. Fantastic drums, fantastic chorus. It's everything. It was so well crafted, so multi-layered and intricate, yet so simple and effortless to listen to. And fantastic lyrics again. It's brilliant.
Yes, indeed. He's
old, he's wise enough to know what's right, but no, he's old enough to know what's right, but young enough not to choose it. He's noble enough to win the world, but fool enough to lose it.
Well, yeah, but
Brilliant.
yeah, but weak enough to lose it. Yeah,
Weak enough, sorry.
yeah.
I think there's a bit of a change, chop and change. I think he says it on the first chorus, and the second chorus he slightly amends it.
Yeah, he does actually. That was the first one. Beg your pardon.
Yeah.
The last one is but fool enough to lose it. Is
Yeah.
what. Yeah. So it again, just tiny little changes there. This was the last song they wrote for the album.
I dare say they both work. We'll just do both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. But this song, I think they.
Oh, wise enough to win. I think the second time around, it's wise enough to win the world, but fool
Yes,
enough to lose
to lose
it.
it. That's right. Yep. You've got that bang on. Yeah.
Mm.
Noble enough to win the world, and last one, wise enough. Yeah, definitely. But again, it just. Yeah. But even them bits, I mean, he's got to make his own mistakes and learn to mend the mess he makes. He's old enough to know what's right, but young enough not to choose it. And then noble enough, weak enough. But then the last run through, he's not concerned with yesterday. He knows constant change is here today. And he's noble enough to know what's right, but weak enough not to choose it. And wise enough to win the world and fool enough to lose it. You know, just such an interplay with the words and just changing the emphasis slightly each time, but very clever. And considering that they knocked this song up in a matter of days, it was the last one they recorded because there was a slight disparity in the time length that Terry Brown turned around and said, well, perhaps you need to write a short song just to balance the two sides up. And I think it says on here, working title, Operation 3 minutes 42. But on the program that I was reading, it's 3 minutes 57. So I think whatever the actual legitimate time was, it's under 4 minutes. It's an under 4 minute song project, but they
just had to knock up just to balance it out. Just put something quick on there, and they come and make that.
Yeah,
they're just bastards. They're just utter bastards.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it says here, the song was composed in a single day and recorded fully the next, meaning the band had little time to adorn it with the usual rhythmic flourishes. What? And complexities. And I'm thinking, consequently, as you said, the song is simple with an easy and spacious feel. But it still sounds quite complex to me. You know, if they say they didn't have enough time to work out bits, they certainly did a good job playing it off the cuff. It just fantastic little song. And it says here, this is the only Rush song to ever chart the American top 40 and was #1 in Canada. This is a single, so it's got a special place in the Rush history. With regards to that, goes on to say,
one they threw together in a day and recorded the next day.
You know, just it's almost like they're just sort of getting in your face and just rubbing your face in it all the time. Yeah, look at what we can do. Wow, you know. Yeah. But you know, we've said it time and time again. Just a brilliant trio of musicians who can turn their hand pretty much to anything. It says on here, like vital signs on the band's previous album, New Old Man begins with the repeating sequencer pattern before the band join him, as you said, with that nice reggae groove. But then you get that powerful rock hook that makes the song chorus memorable, and it propels the thing forward nicely. I think it's quite a happy sounding song to me. It's not sinister or anything. Interesting comment on here, and I must admit I hadn't really made the connection. It says here the lyrical content of the song appears to be on a similar theme to Beneath, Between and Behind from Fly By Night. While the 7 years prior, Peart had been highly critical of the apparent failure of the American dream, New World Man seems a more hopeful and considered case for the US, considering problems such as pollution, gun control. The song is neither a blatant criticism nor a platitudinous love song. It's a song of an observer, and one that has been clearly well
Yeah,
considered.
I think it.
yeah.
I mean, when you talk about like the analog kid, this is the analog kid that when he has grown up, is on the analog kid is on the cusp of growing up, and this is a growing up, but not quite someone who's not quite got to where they're going, but they've got all the potential in the world.
Yeah,
and it's humanity as a whole, isn't it?
But,
Characterized in one person, but that is humanity in the whole. He's old enough to know what's right, but weak enough not to choose it.
Yeah.
He's noble or wise enough to win the world, but fool enough to lose it. It's
hence he's a new world man.
Yeah,
it's just, but it's yeah. Again, it says here, and it finishes with this with regards to comments on this song. New World Man was one of the happy accidents that made Signals a brilliant album. Simple structure and the interweaving melodies.
Can I have one of those happy accidents?
Yeah, I would love to have one of them.
I'd like a few of those, more of those accidents, please. I like it when they say Tom Cruise's latest films flopped. It only made 70 million. I'd love to make a flop, wouldn't you, Paul?
Yeah, I would. I'd like to make a bigger flop than that. I mean, even if it went to 35 million, or half of that, or down to just 7 million, wow, But I say a lot of people do like this song, and again, it was played. It wasn't played on every tour, but it would come and go. It would appear and disappear off of set lists, and of course. This was on, and again, we'll end up going to this anyway. It's on that fantastic, and it's one of them in that fantastic set from Rush in Rio, and that's a tremendous version of it.
So this wasn't. Sorry, we're still talking about New World Man, haven't we?
Yes, we are still talking about New World Man. Yeah.
No, I think it would go on to be quite a regular one, wouldn't it?
Yeah, but I don't know if it was on every tour, but it certainly would come and go. I mean, I've seen them perform it a couple of times. I'm sure I have. But they say that this one is one of the highlights of the album. And
I'd agree. Yeah,
I think it sounds quite fresh, and I think they've obviously captured it quite nicely. So yeah, terrific song, and certainly enjoyed it and enjoy it.
All right, well, let's go on then to Losing It. This is, from what I've been reading, quite the hidden gem on the album. It's quite a popular song, and a lot of people were quite perplexed that it wasn't played live on this initial tour. Apparently, a tour or two later, they have played it live. So all of Signals has been played live at some point.
It has,
not in full in one show, but on the
I don't know how many
tour. There was only one song that wasn't played, and that song was then picked up.
It was it was a lot later. I think it was a question.
I don't think Losing It was meant to be played. I don't know why they.
It was supposed to. Yeah, it was supposed to be a production number.
Yeah,
that was it. One of the numbers that never got played. But
we've got a violin on this as well.
Yeah, it's a gentleman called Ben Mink, who was known for his collaborations with KD Lang. And at the time of doing this was in the band called FM. And it's an extensive electric violin part was added to this song, as we can hear on it. People think that perhaps they just brought him in as an afterthought to do this song, but no, they wanted him to come on and guest on this.
KD Lang is Canadian as well, isn't she?
I believe so, yes.
Yeah.
I believe so as well. So yes, I like this song. I think it is a hidden gem.
Yes, she is.
She is a Canadian. Yeah. It's I do like this. I think it's a very underrated song. This one, and what does it say about it? It says here, despite the totalitarian themes of the weapon, the lyrics to Losing It are, in tone at least, the darkest on the album. The lyric at first refers to an unknown dancer who, desperately nostalgic for her former glory, is now old and infirm. She limps across the floor and closes her bedroom door. The second verse alludes to Ernest Hemingway, who, after enjoying immense success as a writer throughout his life, eventually found his body and mind collapsing under the strain of mental and physical ailments. The author, whose works The Sun Also Rises and For Whom the Bell Tolls are referenced to in the lyric. Obviously, Ernest Hemingway eventually committed suicide after losing much of his sight and the ability to write. It is regarding this tragic loss of ability and others like it that Piet penned the mournful line, sadder still to watch it die than never to have known it. It's quite a touching set of lyrics, really, to this. Again, quite an emotive set of lyrics, basically about the fragility of human life, really. And Piet's lyrics, even those that have their basis in anger or fear, are so consistently looking forward that this gentle yet hard-hitting song is immediately accessible. And it's easy to wonder if Piet considered his own future when working on this song. At the time of writing, he was at the height of his powers as a lyricist and a drummer, but all things end, and perhaps it is this dark undercurrent that makes this lyric so effective. And of course, obviously, what happened to the great man himself. Perhaps. But there was no way at this time he would have known anything about that.
There's a baseball.
Oh yeah,
in this as well.
Yeah, there is
something to do about a base. Isn't there a famous baseball player that?
Right. Let's have a look.
There was something about it in this book as well. I can't.
Yeah, go on then.
I think. I have to find it, but I couldn't quite. I think unless you're a baseball fan, you're not really going to know that they didn't really.
Well, I don't think that nothing. Do you mean with regards to this song? Because it's not
to the lyrics in this song, yeah.
No.
One of the songs previously regulated to the status of Deep album track was Losing It, but through an inaugural play on the R40 tour, it suddenly became quite famed. Same guy that we referenced earlier, the guy that's contributed to several documentaries and books and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
Here we are in 2016 talking about something that Neil wrote lyrically in the early 80s, and I think it resonates now. Sadder still to watch it die. Sorry, sadder still to watch it die than never to have known it.
Yeah.
Just as something, but Neil's incredibly strong conviction of him wanting to uphold the standards that he set for himself, the standard of Rush has set for themselves, and I think is affecting the. Oh, this goes on quite a bit actually. In Syson's back, continuing on with Rush, just because of the physical labour that drumming presents, it's sadder still to watch it die. His drum solo on this most recent tour consisted of 2 short, aborted drum solos. Granted, we don't go to a Rush concert anymore and need to hear Neil Peart do a 12-minute drum solo. And if you want to hear it, pop in any DVD for number of tours. So Losing It, similar line, sadder to watch it die. No, I'm sure there was something about baseball.
Well, the baseball bit, I mean, it says on like when it does the credits, like Geddy Lee, bass guitar, synthesizers, vocals, pitcher. Alec Lifeson was first base, Neil Peart was third base. I think they went through playing baseball through this phase, and Geddy Lee is actually quite a big baseball fan, and he's actually got a collection of signed baseball balls by the big stars of baseball, and some of them are worth quite a bit of money apparently. That's the baseball connection that I've got there, but the only comment I've got about I'm looking at the program because there was something mentioned in the program about this. Where was it? Can't remember where it is now. Where was it?
And
Oh,
I don't know what I came up with that.
yeah. No, what they would do, this was on. It's all right. I knew I'd see something about it.
Is there a reference to a baseball player in the song? Put it in the comments if we're on to something, or if we're talking complete bonbons. But yeah,
there might be something on the credits about it, but I don't think there's anything in the lyrics.
no, I'm sure there was a reference to a baseball player or something, maybe a saying that a baseball player said in the interview.
Maybe.
I'm sure I've read something about it, but flicking through the book there, it's just not jumping out at me. But anyway, let's carry on. No, a unique song on a. It doesn't stick out like a sore thumb, but this isn't.
No, it doesn't.
It does feel like a separate song, and but yeah, it's a unique song on what is a unique album, really, or certainly unique so far in the catalogue.
Yeah, it is. Definitely on this tour for some reason they all got into baseball, and they were playing baseball a fair bit. Hence, let's say I'm looking at the album credits, and like it says, Geddy and his pitcher, Alex first base, Neil third base, and Terry Brown was left field. On there, I'm just trying to think if there was any. I'm just looking on the big print version to see if I can see anything about baseball comments. I think there's a lot of people, most valuable persons. It might be in there somewhere, but it would be somebody who I don't know because I'm not into baseball. It says in television. Oh, hang on, into live vision or live vision baseball. That's the comment that I can see there about that. Can't see anything else at the moment. Yeah, I think it might be your answers on a postcard, please, with regards to that.
Yeah, okay.
I can't see anything.
I'll have another read and leave a comment below myself when I come across it. But
yeah, I'm
sure I didn't dream it.
No, you probably didn't. It's either that or you've been eating too much strong cheese overnight. It might be something like that. I going back to the song. I think it's it's an interesting number. You wouldn't think it would sort of fit in with everything else that's been put on here, but it does. It sort of just gives that slightly different flavour. Some great violin playing on this actually, and he uses the electric violin with various effects and stuff like that, and it's quite an aggressive. It says here jazz fusion inspired solo that gives it an unexpected and an unusual nature and taste for the song. And it says here it's not a gimmick. The violin was clearly written as a central part of this piece rather than being added as an afterthought. It's a super. I think it's a super production number. It's one that I never saw them play live, but they played it on their very final tour.
Oh, and as far back. I thought it was.
I don't know if they played it on any other tours. I would have to look it up.
And maybe that's why as well, because obviously, everything that went on, it was like, let's.
And it was actually
the fans want it,
Ben Mink came on and played it. I think there might have been another violin player on certain other parts of the tour.
Again, Iron Maiden, it's always been the great unplayed song was Alexander the Great, and that was the big thing for this tour that they're currently on. Actually, they're on a break at the moment, but they've got 4 dates to do left on it. But it's for the first time ever Alexander the Great has finally been played live.
Although it was being played by a tribute band.
Yes, of course, So maybe that's what.
Do you reckon he falls the hand there?
Yeah, I remember him saying in an interview a few years ago as well. What's the song that you went? It's got to be Alexander the Great, in it. So, but maybe that's what Geddy was thinking. subconsciously knew in the back of his mind, and his body thought, well, what can we do to shake things up a bit? Here you go. Here's one they've never heard. Let's...
And it was, I mean, on the R40, which obviously you can get on DVD and whatever, on Blu-ray. It's really, again, it's one of them things, I suppose, as a Rush fan, and we've said it before about other bands, it's always cool when a band who've got a significant back catalogue can pull something out that you wouldn't expect them to play, and you just think, wow, I haven't heard that for ages, and you just... So, yeah, I think a very underrated and definitely a hidden gem of a song.
Right, well...
Oh, we're almost there.
We are there. The last track.
It is
Countdown.
The countdown. Yes, indeed. What are your feelings on this one?
It's a cool song. I like the atmosphere. Again, I like that main keyboard riff in the chorus. Like, it's about rockets and space. I mean,
well, yeah,
it's not as fascinating as it used to be, I'm afraid.
No, no, it's not. No, it's not. But again, Peart wrote these set of lyrics because he was recounting the experience that they were invited. I think it was they were invited as
they go to.
Yeah, they actually went to the launch of, which one was it? It says yeah, on April the 9th, 1982, they went to the Cape as a VIP zone, Red Sector A, which is where that will rise again on the next one. There we go. So that's that. Yeah, they went there the first time, but the launch had to be scrapped because all the computers had crashed. So and again, I'm reading from the program here. They flew in, went there, then it got cancelled, and they had to rush away because they had to catch another flight because they were playing. They were touring at this point, so they go and play. They were due to play that night in Dallas, so they couldn't hang around. They had to go. Managed to just about get there, and then I think it was a case that they went and played another date, I think the day after, and then they had to jump into a jet and fly back again because they were rescheduled the launch.
Okay.
Which I thought was, I didn't realise any of that, and I'd forgotten this when I'd read, after reading I haven't read the programme for such a long time. So it was a frantic time. They said they really didn't have a lot of sleep. So they were very bleary-eyed with this, but they said it was an unforgettable experience, which he's tried to put into the lyrics in a fairly straightforward way. And again, this is another song. It's not the first one, because obviously the first one was the Camera Eye, where you're getting some incidental soundscape, of New York and taxis booming and blowing their horns and all this sort of stuff, and then the stuff in London. This time you've got a NASA soundtrack and the crackle of radio signals and helicopters and all this sort of stuff flying around. So they put that into this as well, just to give it that atmosphere, and hoping that the music would lift, which it does really. There was no pun intended with the thing lift, obviously lift off. It's just a recount. It's a very factual song, really, isn't it? It's just recounting an experience that they had, all three of them. One of the very few, in fact, actually, I think that was the comment on here, that obviously Geddy Lee has played some lead keyboards, which are more like a melody hook, This is an out and out keyboard solo.
Okay, yeah.
On this one, and they're saying it would probably be solo.
Yeah, I suppose it is, isn't it?
It's a sole example of a.
It's towards the end, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it says Countdown is unique for several reasons, though not least in that it includes the sole example of a synth solo on a Rush album. And I've got to be honest, I can't think of any other songs that have got keyboard solos. They've got keyboard hooks, but not out and out solos. So yeah, it is unique in that respect. Because it says here Lee had frequently used keyboards to perform melody parts or breaks. This is the only time Lee has ever broken into a fully fledged solo. So interesting, easily overlooked, I think, with regards to that. Obviously, they give a lot of thanks to NASA about being, it says here the first launch of a space shuttle. So what was the first one that was launched of the space shuttles? I can't remember which one it is. But there you go. Again, you just got that keyboard pulse. Dun, 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 dun. And then again, you get Piet coming in with a little bit of military snare, and then those nice airy, moody chords that Lifeson plays just to bring the whole thing up. And then it goes into that very deliberate sort of beat. And again, yeah, I mean, lit up with anticipation, we arrive at the launching site. I mean, it's quite matter of fact and straightforward, really, the lyrics on this one. And again, there's a bit more bass going on this one as well, actual bass guitar, which sort of just gives it that little bit more punch, I guess. I'm just trying to see if there's any other comments. Have you got anything on your book?
No, I mean, I think it's a good album closer. I don't think it's not a classic for me in any way, really. It's nice enough. I'm glad it's there, but I think it's one of the first times I'm going to say it's a song that I can take or leave, really.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
I can see it works as an album closer.
Yeah.
And I think it suits the album, but I'm only ever going to listen to it whilst listening to this album. Yeah. I don't think it's a song I'm particularly going to skip to. And it's not a bad song. It's just the standards are pretty high on this one.
Yeah.
Just when you've got songs like New World Man and Subdivision and Analog Kid.
Yeah.
It's just.
Well, it's interesting because it says, despite choosing this song to finish, I call it a grand song to finish the album with, the band would later distance themselves from this piece, with Lee once referring to it as a pretty poor song. But then again, Lifeson, however, did claim to like the piece in the same interview. So you think they're just sort of playing around, really. Like many Rush songs, however, it was an experiment, and Piet was more pragmatic in his criticism. Countdown is another example of a song that didn't work at the time, but led us forward. It was our first attempt at a documentary. That was the word I was looking for. Documentary.
Yeah, like sometimes. Not everything works, but they would learn.
Yeah,
they've always dropped what doesn't work and carried on with what does, and sometimes you've got to do something to find out if it works or not.
And say, right, it doesn't work, so we're not doing that again.
Taking
it says here, part of a documentary, taking real life and putting it into a song. And he said arguably any song that is or the comment here is arguably any song that is journalistic of a historic moment is likely to become dated, which I guess it has, really, hasn't it? And perhaps that's earned Countdown derision from its writers. It says here the song neatly thematically concludes a landmark album for Rush. As Houston's high frequency radio transmissions fade away before the record ends, it's pleasing to compare them to the other signals referenced on the album, not least the chemical ones not least the chemical ones on the cover. Yeah, I'm just trying to see if there's anything else on like. No. The only thing they say, again, it's just to do with the artwork. Obviously, you've got that on the front with the Dalmatian and the fire hydrant. But on the back, you've got like this blueprint for suburbia and the subdivisions in the existing living in suburbia, and it's got on there. There are references here again, just part of their nicknames. You've got Old Dirk Road, Lurkstwood Mall, and the designers being, what does it say? BJ Pratt and Associates. It's all of one of their many nicknames each on that. So it's I think on the whole, I liked the album and I admired it.
Just a little bit as well. Apparently, they hid as dog biscuits.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
that's how they got him.
Yeah. Otherwise, it's either that or he'd relieve himself on it, I guess. Yeah, interesting. I like the album. I like the various stylistic experiments with it, and I think on the whole it's largely a good one. But I would agree with you, Countdown, and I don't think Countdown was ever played again on any tour. I don't think so. I don't recall seeing it anywhere else. Oh, that was it. The first space shuttle was Columbia. I knew it was on here somewhere. It's Columbia. That was the first one. So that's the one they see. Again, this one was recorded at Morin Heights in Quebec, the studio. As you've said, last one engineered by Terry Brown. Chart positions. In Canada, it was number 1. Here in the UK, it was number 3. And in the US, it was number 10. So it sold reasonably well. I think it sold just over 1 million copies. I think it was at the time, or as it stands at the moment, just over 1 million. I mean, it sold reasonably well. It was a reasonably, so it wasn't the longest tour, but I enjoyed it. I must admit, my remembrance of the gig I went to, the set was a lot. They were almost looser in the way they were playing it. Not saying that they were not tight. Of course they were tight. No, but they were having more fun with the playing of it rather than the seriousness that perhaps they exhibited on other tours. So they were trying to make it a little bit more light-hearted, I guess. Hence the comments from the gentleman about them totally changing the emphasis of the Rush set live. And I think I only remember them, and I only remember them doing some sort of melody of some of the old stuff, including Xanadu. They didn't play all of it. They would definitely, the emphasis was
they definitely cut down the longer pieces and the thing. And he said it was predominantly the Signals album with a bit of moving pictures and a bit of Spirit of Radio.
Yeah. And
a little bit of, or the abbreviated 2112 at the end, and then I don't think
there wasn't any. I'm sure Working Man was not played. Sure, it wasn't played. I don't think there was anything played from the first 3 albums. Yeah.
So, concluding thoughts. Definitely a great album, a unique album, a necessary album in their development. And moving on into a new era of the band, also a end of an era of the band in terms of production. But and next up we have the band going out on their own on Grace Under Pressure. So I'll let you finish with your concluding thoughts. And then we will wrap up.
I think for me, again, an interesting album, an album that I enjoyed. And I must admit, when I first got this, I was playing this a lot. I was listening to it a heck of a lot, not as much as Moving Pictures or Permanent Ways, but I still enjoyed listening to this album. As you say, it was a series that there was a bit of an ending here, obviously, with and quite a big ending because of Terry Brown being his swan song with them. But the thing I enjoyed about this album was how they infused all the various different styles, and I don't think they would ever quite do the same. So in some respect, this was another sort of transitional album in some respects.
Absolutely,
It certainly begun the electronic, which would be more fully explored on the next album proper. But yeah, I liked the album, and certainly applaud them for actually really pushing the boat out with regards to the various styles that they would incorporate into their music. All I'll say is bravo to it. Bravo. It was always worth a listen. I would say to anyone who's not really heard Rush before, have a listen to this one. I would still say Moving Pictures first, but this one's still worth a listen.
Yeah, definitely.
Yep, so.
Okay, folks. Well, thanks for watching another episode. As always, this is your show. So join the conversation. Leave us a comment on what you think. Where do you think Signal sits in the back catalogue? What's your favourite song on the album? What's your least favourite song on the album? What were we on about with that baseball reference? And where were we right? Where were we wrong? And join us if this is new to you. If this is your first episode. Go back to the beginning. Listen to Rush. Listen to Fly By Night. Follow us with this journey. It's not too late to start at the beginning and catch up. And use this as an introduction or use it as an afterthought. Do whatever you like. But I hope you join us next week. And we are doing Grace Under Pressure. And I'm looking forward to that. So, Paul, thank you for joining me as ever.
Thanks, Joe. Pleasure.
Yes, we shall see you all soon. Take care in a week. And with that, it's goodbye from me.
And it's goodbye from me.
See you later, folks.
See ya.